Okay, so my name is Melanie, and I am getting ready to post my YouTube video. And the topic is going to be about none other than my mother. And I was going to write a story, but I decided instead to make a video. And that's because the other day, someone said to me that I was just like my mother. We were having a discussion and some things happened and we were talking and disagreeing, and to be honest, I admitted my fault, that I did something that out of emotion that I shouldn't have done, and I apologized. But someone slipped out of their mouth and said, "You're just like your mother." And this person knows all of my battles and my history with my mother. So it hurt really, really, really bad. That's one of those things that's a touchy topic for me. I'm very open. I'm an open book. I share a lot. But for things that I really love, it, those things are touchy for me. So when it was said that I'm just like my mother, I've been praying and thinking about that for the past 2 days. And I'm trying to figure out, oh my God, am I just like my mother? And my point is that for those that have been following me and my stories, you guys know a lot of history about my mom. I am a mixed child. My mother is white, my father is black, and I grew up in a time. I was born in '75. My mother was from a small town, Big Stone Gap, Virginia, and having a black child was a no-no. And so from the day that I was born into a no-no. This is not what you do. And so I've told a lot of stories, but I really don't want to get into that. I just want to touch the topic of me being just like my mother. And I would like to say that I prayed about it, I gave it a lot of thought, and I cried and cried and cried. And I think the reason why it hurt so bad is because for 41 years, yes, I'm 41, can you believe it? For 41 years, I have practiced on how to not be like my mother. I know my mother. I grew up with my mother. My mother came in and out of my life constantly. Her and my father had issues, and every time they would fall out, she would leave me with my dad because I wasn't allowed to go with her people because the color of my skin, just wasn't really accepted. So me and my dad bonded really good. So that grew into me being an adult. I have a closer bond with my father, and it kills my mother. And my mother and father are actually still together. So I like to talk about the past, and I like to talk about it so that we can forgive and forget and move on and be better. But my mom, she doesn't like to talk about anything. She doesn't. She acts like nothing ever happened. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it, and it burns me up. And so my mother has finally. I've always allowed her to come back into my life because she's my mom, and anything that I ever talk about, I never down her. I never call her bad names. I only tell the truth, and the truth is the truth. It just is the truth. And if she called me today, I'd go running. That's my mom. I love my mom. And I don't care. I hear so many people say, leave her alone, leave her alone, just forget it, forget it. But I don't care what nobody says. When it's your mom, it's your mom. I only have one mom. And anytime that she tries to come back into my life, I always allow her back into my life. And it always kicks me in the butt because she always is very terrible to me, and then she runs off and doesn't want to talk to me at all anymore. So it hurts. So I start crying and I don't understand and blah, 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 blah. So it's just been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I made this video to make a point. I've come to the conclusion that the person that told me that is absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. Because I have done my whole life trying to reverse that curse of being better than my, or let me not say being better than my mom, because it's not a jab at her, of being a better version of my mom, because we carry the same blood. I lived in her womb for 9 months. I heard her heartbeat. She heard my heartbeat. It's my mom. And for us to have children, we want our children to be better. And so, is what I did throughout my life is, I have a sister, and my sister won't deal with my mom at all. My mom doesn't even know where she lives. My mom has nothing to do with her kids. She does not deal with my mom at all. And so I try to make my mother feel better by inviting her into my life so that she can have a daughter who loves her and does for her. But she kicks me in the butt every single time. She's horrible to me. And so basically, is what I've done in the 41 years is I figured out a way to come up all on my own. I did it all on my own. I worked, um, I saved, I bought a house, I got married, I had a huge wedding, and I invited everybody, even the ones who were racist. They came, but they came to see if it was really true. Like, is she really getting married? Who is she marrying? Like it was kind of that kind of come. But I invited them and I embraced them and I fed them and I gave them drinks. Everything was free. And you know, when I finally found out that I couldn't have children and I adopted, my mom didn't come to the adoption. She's like, well, she feels like those really aren't her grandkids because they're adopted. I've heard her say that several times. And that hurts, but I still deal with her anyway because I love her. She's my mom. And so throughout all these years, there's just been a lot of stuff that she's done. And I've picked on it and I've learned from it and I've done the opposite. So what I've done is I've taken my children and I've loved them to death. And have accepted them. I have four Hispanic daughters who I would never ever mistreat because they're Hispanic. I love on them like crazy. My husband, I love on him because she has a horrible relationship with my father. So anything that she does that I know is bad, I try to reverse it and do good. And I was always hoping that maybe she could see that and learn from that and be proud, but she just doesn't. She just doesn't. And I understand that when we're born with some of our characteristic states. I don't know how to say it, but we have the same character sometimes. Sometimes I find myself maybe saying things that my mom might say or whatever, but I don't count that as I'm just like my mom. You know, my mom is the type of person who hides a lot. And that's why I'm so open. I want everybody to know the real me, who I am. I want to fix things. I want to make things better. I want to communicate. I want to talk. I want the truth out, you know? I want to say, hey, this happened, but it's okay. I still love you anyway. And so it really, really, really hurt to hear someone say that I'm just like my mom because I'm not like my mom. I would never ever turn away anybody because of the color of their skin or because I didn't like something that they said that was the truth or, you know, hide things or act like things don't happen or, I'm very respectful when I talk to her, you know, whenever I need to. The funny thing about it is I've done so much for her uh, materially because I wanted to be accepted. I wanted her to know that I love her. And I've told her I've loved her. I've sent her cards. But like one time she called and she didn't have a TV. And she's like, oh, your dad took the TV. I don't have a TV. I literally got up out of my bed. I went to the first Best Buy and bought this huge flat screen TV. And I took it over there, plugged it in, and I said, Mom, you have a TV. And it's things like that I try to explain to her that I love you, regardless that you put me up for adoption. I love you regardless that you don't agree with my black issues. She thinks that I shouldn't side with just my black side, and I don't. I acknowledge my white side. I have a lot of white family members that are good to me, that are good people, and I have acknowledged them. But there's a whole bunch of them that don't like me. I've never been invited to a birthday party, Thanksgiving, Christmas, nothing. I couldn't call them for anything. And that's okay because I've built my life. I'm doing my life. I've taken my struggles and I've flipped them around for the better. And to hear someone say that I'm just like my mom is one of the most cruelest, meanest things that a person can say whenever they know my story. Because I'm not like my mom. I'm a better version of my mom. And I'm 41 and I will continue to live a better version of my mom. Now, my mom called me last week. She gets in these spurts where she wants to talk to me and she wants to be in my life, and she's all, "Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you," and then she gets in the mood where she's like, "Don't want to deal with her. She gets on my nerves. I don't want to fool with her. She won't answer my calls." And I've lived with that for a long time, and I just accept her whenever she wants to be around. I let her come in, and then when she doesn't, I just whatever. So I hadn't talked to her in a long time, and my little one here kept asking, "Where's my mom? Where's my mom?" So I called her and she didn't answer. So I called my dad and I'm like, "Hey, Dad, I called mom, but she didn't answer. She sent me to voicemail. She sends me to voicemail when she doesn't want to talk to me. So that's nothing normal." So anyway, evidently my dad said, "Hey, you need to call Melanie because she tried to call you." So because my dad got on her butt, she called me. And so I'm gonna play this message just to give you a piece of what I live with, what I deal with. I'm gonna show you a piece of my mom and what I've been living with since the day I was born. Hello? I don't know why you won't talk to me. Mom, I answered the phone and you want from me. Exactly. I answered the phone and I said hello and you said, "What do you want from me?" So how is that not wanting to talk to you? What you want from me? Okay. I want to know. I don't want anything from you. Then why don't you leave me and your dad alone? How can you tell me to leave my father alone? Have you been drinking? Are you drunk? Because you make no sense for me to tell you're telling your daughter to leave you and your dad and my father alone. Have you lost your mind? Anyway, you are 41. So does that mean I don't have parents because I'm 41 freaking years old? I know. Do you understand me? You know what? I'll leave you the hell alone. Goodbye. Okay. Okay. Goodbye. 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 Okay, Mom. Okay. Leave me alone. Okay. She wants me to leave her alone. She said that many times. She wants me to leave her alone whenever she doesn't want to be bothered. And then when she does want to be bothered, she doesn't mind dealing with me. So, is what I have to do is, and it's very odd for me to cuss at my mom, but I did. I said I'll leave you the hell alone. But to be honest, I ain't gonna leave her the hell alone. If she calls me, I'll answer the phone. But I'm nothing like my mom. If she called me, even though she did that to me, I cried all night because I don't understand. Why would you? She thinks because I'm 41 years old that I shouldn't have parents anymore, that I should be on my own, doing my own thing, and leave her alone. I'm just so confused. It would be so much easier if I did something. Like if I stole something from her, or if I was a crackhead, or if I've never done anything but be good to her. Everything. I have a million stories of things that I've done for her, trying to get approval from my mother. So, the moral of this story is I'm not going to say the person's name, of course, but it hurt really, really bad to be told that I'm just like my mom because I'm not nothing like my mom. I am the version that God put on this earth that my mom was supposed to be. And that is what I will continue to do on the upside until the day I die. And there's going to come a time where my mom is going to be really old and she's going to be sick, and my sister won't deal with my mom. I'll take care of her. I'll love her because she's my mom and we have the same blood and I love her. But I am a better version. I hope somebody gets something out of this.